So welcome everyone, including those in the room here today and those that are online, to my 2023 State of the University Address, my 10th, shockingly, as Chancellor. Now, in myriad forms, technology has become a ubiquitous presence in our lives, a thread that has been woven in obvious and subtle ways into the very fabric of our daily existence. Advances in technology, both hardware and software, over the last 4 decades have increased our productivity, reshaped how we interact with one another, and changed the way we both deliver and document healthcare. That's just a few of the ways that technology has shaped our world. And now a new technology, generative artificial intelligence, has become widely available to us all. Some have said this technology, by augmenting or amplifying human intelligence, will have a greater transformational impact than most or perhaps all of the breakthroughs that have come before. It is obviously very early days, and not surprisingly, it is difficult to separate hype from reality, risk from benefit with any degree of confidence. But that said, the field is highly dynamic, and it is certain that the current iterations of generative AI will be rapidly refined and enhanced over the next months and years. With the confluence of human and artificial intelligence, sometimes called augmented intelligence, it is hard not to feel that we are at the beginning of a new period of human potential. So given my personal sense of the importance of this moment to UCSF's mission, I will spend a significant portion of my address today on the steps that we have taken in the last 12 months and we will take in the next year towards preparing our campus to become and I would like it to become the leading AI-enabled academic life sciences university. So this year, we've held 2 half-day summits with faculty and staff from across the university. The first in April focused on the application of AI in healthcare delivery. At the retreat, there was a consensus that we have a tremendous opportunity to leverage and strengthen UCSF's expertise in clinical AI and to deploy it at scale, safely, equitably, and efficiently in the service of making the care our patients receive at UCSF Health second to none. It was clear that to realize this opportunity, we would have to invest and build a robust AI infrastructure platform. So building on existing assets that have been developed at UCSF over the last decade, including APEX, our electronic health record, our enterprise data warehouse, our information commons, and our health informatics platform for advanced computing, our IT operations team, led by Key Lei, has built a robust and versatile AI infrastructure platform that we are calling Versa. I thank UCSF Health President and CEO Suresh Gunasekaran and our Chief Information Officer Joe Bengford for their executive sponsorship of this important work. Now, we have also developed partnerships with Microsoft, OpenAI, Salesforce, Ambience Healthcare, and others to support our AI journey. Versa allows our clinicians and administrators and researchers to access large language models while keeping the model prompts, or the questions we're asking, and the data itself in a secure enterprise cloud. The data never leaves UCSF. As of October of this year, there were 220 authorized Versa users, and we expect to grow that many-fold in 2024. Now, our Versa users are exploring use cases across 4 major themes. First, information extraction. Second, knowledge management. Third, writing and coding assistance. And fourth, automated decision support. Users from now many clinical departments are already successfully leveraging these new tools, publishing important papers, and assessing our clinical practices for improvement. I'm confident in 2024 we will see extensive use of generative AI across UCSF Health, and we will have demonstrated benefit to both our patients and our providers. In contrast to the notion that technology can be dehumanizing, there is the potential that artificial intelligence, if deployed thoughtfully, could reduce administrative friction, enable us to recenter the human touch in healthcare, and address clinical burnout. Of course, we must ensure that AI is used ethically and that we protect patient privacy. We must also adopt an equity-first approach to the rollout of AI in the clinical arena and avoid adding to the potential digital divide that can limit access for underserved communities. In fact, there is the potential for AI to democratize privilege by creating greater access to cutting-edge medical information. At UCSF, we have adopted the federal government's principles of trustworthy AI and have ongoing evaluation systems in place, as well as training for all Versa users in the ethical use of AI. Two other very important milestones in the last year in our AI journey were the appointment of Dr. Sara Murray as our Clinical Health AI Officer and the appointment of Dr. Julia Adler-Milstein as the founding chief of the Division of Clinical Informatics and Digital Transformation in the UCSF Department of Medicine. Sara will lead the deployment and evaluation of AI within UCSF Health, and Julia and her team will study the application of AI to real-world care using informatics to advance health equity and address the social drivers of health. Now, a second retreat that we held in July focused on the application of AI in the discovery sciences and in precision medicine. Again, there was a great enthusiasm that new tools in AI could revolutionize the discovery sciences by allowing us to rapidly analyze enormous data sets, uncover otherwise hidden patterns in that data, and accelerate the process of hypothesis generation and experimentation. One need not look further than the 2020 release of the AI model AlphaFold 2 by the company DeepMind. Trained on a large publicly available database, AlphaFold 2 accurately predicts protein structure directly from the protein sequence at high fidelity. This was a true scientific breakthrough that is now in wide use across UCSF laboratories. At the Discovery Science Retreat, we discussed many exciting AI-enabled projects that are currently underway and that are future opportunities for us to explore. We explored how future generative AI-enabled advances at UCSF could focus on understanding and writing the language of biology across biologic scales from atoms all the way to organisms. Such an understanding in the chemical space, for instance, could radically advance the discovery of precision drugs. And in the protein space, it could advance our ability to program and design new proteins and cells for new therapeutic functions. That would be the true enablement of precision medicine. Again, not surprisingly, the infrastructure needed for breakthroughs at this scale was again a major theme of the retreat. While our researchers will benefit from access to AI apps in Versa, our current research high-performance computing cluster will need to be significantly augmented with new infrastructure. A post-retreat task force led by Associate Chief Information Officer for Research, Mandy Terrell, has provided a roadmap to a new transformational high-performance computing environment at UCSF. Our vision is for an infrastructure that reduces the barriers to AI by providing the required hardware, software, and access to data resources so that our researchers can pre-process, train, and tune AI models based on our own UCSF research data. We will act on these recommendations in 2024. Another theme common to both retreats was the risk of bias or malicious misuse inherent in these new large data models. Dr. Hal Collard, Vice Chancellor of Research, and Dr. Ida Sim, Chief Research Informatics Officer in the Office of Research, are leading the development of new processes for the scientific and ethical evaluation of large language model research projects. They are joined in the Office of Research by Dr. Tung Nguyen, the inaugural Associate Vice Chancellor for Research, Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, and Anti-Racism. Tung is committed to developing a research environment that proactively addresses all aspects of inequity and discrimination, inclusive of AI models. Just this past month, in November, Dr. Keith Yamamoto, Special Advisor to the Chancellor for Science Policy and Strategy and Director of our Precision Medicine program, led a workshop that was called Towards Algorithmic Justice in Precision Medicine. The workshop brought together a group from very diverse backgrounds and expertise to consider how systematic flaws in data collection, in curation of those data sets, and in the AI tools themselves could perpetuate or exacerbate structural inequities, and how resulting algorithmic injustices can be uncovered and addressed. So to bring the potential of these new AI tools to life for you, I will share just one UCSF story. This summer, a team led by Dr. Eddie Chang, Chair of Neurologic Surgery in the UCSF Weill Institute for Neurosciences, demonstrated how AI has helped a woman named Anne find her voice again after having a stroke at the age of 30. This is the first time that both speech and facial expressions have been synthesized directly from brain signals to help a person communicate. Now, Eddie has been working on the technology, brain-computer interface, for more than a decade. His large team includes engineers and graduate students from the joint UCSF-UC Berkeley Bioengineering program. So let's take a few minutes now to watch a video of how this technology has enabled Anne to speak for the first time in 18 years.
Today is an opportunity for Anne and Bill to have a conversation through our brain decoding to facilitate what we think would resemble a future use of an actual real-life application of the technology.
We want to try to basically create a demonstration where we're decoding the text, the speech, and the avatar at the same time from Anne's brain as she tries to silently attempt to speak.
The device is an electrocorticography grid, which is attached to a pedestal, which is screwed onto the participant's skull. Anne is the very first person to have this combination.
I think you are wonderful.
In the Chang Lab, we really focus on restoring voice to people that have lost it due to conditions like stroke or ALS.
What we're picking up on are neural activity related directly to the attempts to move her facial muscles, and that's what we're able to decode into speech.
Hey Anne, how's it going?
It is good to see you.
Giving them the ability to communicate again with their loved ones and caregivers is really what we're looking to do.
I was thinking about running to the store.
What time will you be home?
In about an hour.
Do not make me laugh.
That's the first time we've ever had a conversation using this system.
When Anne was 30 years old, she was playing volleyball with some friends and had a stroke, which led to the condition that she has now, which is locked-in syndrome. At this point, she had a 6-month-old child and a 7-year-old child.
You are truly wonderful people.
The physicians have no idea why this happened. That was now 18 years ago.
Hand that to me, please.
How can we create technology that can help people really meaningfully contribute with all sorts of abilities.
Hi, how are things going?
Hi, Anne. Things are going fine. How are you feeling about the Blue Jays today?
Anything is possible.
I feel really lucky to work with a group of students and fellows and engineers and scientists, all as a team that have had this singular goal for the last 10 years to build a device that can restore speech. And we are getting so close to making this something that is going to be a real solution for patients.
Will you do me a favor?
It's incredible to hear her discuss her journey.
Hand that to me, please.
Apart from her motivations to actually advance this technology,
I thought it would be good for me.
if you're able to produce text, synthesize speech, and then also a personalized avatar, she believes that would really, and we do too, advance her ability to become a counselor and to work with people. It's important to develop technologies which can better support individuals with disabilities, because it's a huge amount of people who we exclude from workplaces.
My hope is that this is going to be just a stepping stone to many other things that can be done for people who have lost the ability to communicate, to realize their full potential.
So that amazing story has attracted the attention of millions of people across the globe. It's but one of many illustrating how AI is being leveraged in the health science environment to develop new treatments and devices for patients. I believe that AI-enabled tools will bring changes to our education mission as well. We're in the planning stages of a third retreat that will be led by Executive Vice Chancellor and Provost Catherine Lucy, and this retreat will focus on education. It's not hard to imagine how AI-driven immersive simulation and personalized learning experiences may reshape how we educate clinicians and scientists alike, combining knowledge, meaning, and purpose in entirely novel ways. We will also need to consider our own workforce upskilling and training to take advantage of AI tools, again, safely and effectively. Already, we are launching new education offerings that will train the next generation. This fall, we welcomed the inaugural graduate class in the joint UC Berkeley-UCSF Computational Precision Health Program that is designed to train the next generation of scientists at the intersection of computation and health. And contingent on final approval by the Academic Senate, the School of Pharmacy will launch a Master's in Artificial Intelligence and Computational Drug Discovery and Development. I'm sure additional ideas will be generated in next year's education retreat. Now, beyond our mission areas of research, healthcare, and education, we are also exploring how the potential benefits of implementing AI in UCSF's operations. UCSF Health is already using VersaChat to make the massive amount of information contained in our human resource policies and in our nursing training documents much more easily accessible. AI is also allowing us to better forecast patient census and therefore bed availability. Many other applications to our operations will be added in 2024. So ever since our founding a century and a half ago, UCSF has always pushed the boundaries of what's possible to advance health and improve lives. AI in all its forms is a new boundary for us all to explore. Later in our program, I will be joined on stage by 3 experts who will describe how UCSF is integrating the power and promise of AI already into our science and healthcare. So now I'd like to switch gears and describe how we are reshaping UCSF's physical environment, much like we are reshaping our digital environment. First, on the Parnassus Heights campus. With the completion of UC Hall's demolition this month, we have laid the groundwork for the much anticipated Parnassus Research and Academic Building. We received full UC Regents approval for this project this September. The new building will feature state-of-the-art laboratories, a dedicated area for clinical research, and new learning spaces for our students. The building will also house the UCSF School of Nursing, a space which is being designed to foster interdisciplinary collaboration. With the relocation of the School of Nursing, we can then go ahead and demolish the current School of Nursing building and greatly expand the public open spaces on campus, creating a pathway from Golden Gate Park to Mount Sutro and a new promenade through the center of campus. As part of our long-term Pacific Parnassus Heights plan, the UCSF Langley Porter Psychiatric Hospital, which began serving patients in its new location at UCSF Mount Zion campus in August. This beautiful new facility replaces the services and programs that have been operating on Parnassus Heights in the same building since 1943. This relocation allows the demolition of Langley Porter on Parnassus Avenue beginning in early 2024. Construction will then begin on the new hospital addition to the Helen Diller Medical Center on Parnassus Heights. When it opens its doors in 2030, this state-of-the-art hospital will give our patients, clinicians, and staff the world-class facilities they deserve. We're looking forward to groundbreaking ceremonies for these two Parnassus projects in 2024. And continuing with our facility modernization efforts at other sites, work is also underway in the East Bay with the design nearing completion of a new UCSF Benioff Children's Hospital Oakland Patient Care Tower. We will seek Regents' approval on the scope, design, and budget for this project in July and will break ground soon thereafter. In September, we celebrated the opening of Pride Hall, our new research and academic building at the Zuckerberg San Francisco General Hospital and Trauma Center. The opening of this state-of-the-art facility was a great way to mark the 150th anniversary of our affiliation with the City and County of San Francisco and with San Francisco Department of Public Health. Let's take 2 minutes to watch a video that celebrates the legacy of our long-standing affiliation with Zuckerberg San Francisco General Hospital.
We are pioneers, revolutionaries, visionaries, the ones who see the world differently, not only for what it is, but what it can be. For 150 years, we have stood with our community, providing shelter, fighting for cures, defying the odds, every day leading the way to make our world a healthier place. A partnership unlike any other, bound by our public mission. A coming together of science and service, devoted to caring for every life. Together we cherish the moments that make us human. The first breath, the second chance, the outreached hand. We know that leaning forward leads to discovery, and discovery leads to life-changing breakthroughs that set new standards of care. We not only live and breathe our history, we make it every day, because we know that tomorrow will be the most important thing we do. Forward together. Celebrating 150 years of partnership.
I look forward to the future discoveries that will undoubtedly emerge from Pride Hall. Now, during my 40-year career at UCSF, I have seen a remarkable transformation of UCSF Health. Starting with one hospital on Parnassus Heights, UCSF Health now comprises 5 hospitals and is affiliated with several more across the Bay Area. Earlier this year, we signed a new collaboration agreement with Chinese Hospital in downtown San Francisco. This alliance is driven by our shared vision to create a comprehensive and sustainable healthcare that is responsive to the Asian community's ethnic and cultural uniqueness, now and well into the future. To further increase our ability to serve the people of San Francisco, we are in the final stages of negotiating the acquisition of St. Mary's Medical Center, St. Francis Memorial Hospital, and their associated outpatient and urgent care clinics. Cumulatively, these projects are all aligned with our UCSF Health Vision 2025 to advance our health network across the Bay Area. Now, as UCSF expands geographically and in scope, we continue to be recognized for excellence in quality, safety, and healthcare equity. Our medical centers at Parnassus Heights and Mission Bay consistently rank among the best in the nation and are lauded for protecting patients from preventable harm and errors and for offering safe and supportive care for the LGBTQ+ community. This year, the national nonprofit Leapfrog Group gave UCSF the highest grade, an A, for hospital safety. UCSF Health also ranked amongst the nation's best hospitals in the US News & World Report honor roll. And we finished in the top 10, in fact, number 5, in the Vizient rankings, the nation's leading healthcare improvement company. So I thank sincerely and deeply all of the frontline clinicians and the staff that support them for their tireless work to achieve these outstanding results. Now, while San Francisco faces challenges today, I remain completely bullish in our shared future with the city and the Bay Area. The Bay Area is a rich, perhaps the most rich, innovation ecosystem with renowned universities, cutting-edge biotechnology, and now trailblazing advances in artificial intelligence. Our many partnerships with other Bay Area institutions leverage this rich ecosystem. I'll share just one example of how these partnerships advance our mission. With support of a $70 million grant from the Audacious Project, UCSF's Sue Lynch and UC Berkeley's Jennifer Doudna are coming together to edit specific genes of microbes that are in our gut and in our airways and that we know play a role in asthma. Their goal is to perform precise edits in the genomes of microbial cells associated with asthma and to move these modified bacteria into human clinical trials. Now, this work, exciting for asthma, but represents a very exciting possibility to develop a whole new realm of human therapeutics for many diseases based on precision microbial editing. Now let me turn and take a moment to address our people and our campus climate. I recognize that the last 2 months have deeply roiled our community. The Hamas terrorist attacks and the ensuing war between Hamas and Israel have been difficult to witness and process. I have heard from many in our community who have personal ties to Gaza and Israel, and I know how painful these past weeks have been. There is a wide divide on these evolving events across our country, especially on university campuses, ours included. At this moment, these differences are raw and hard to assimilate, but we must all work to ensure that no one in our community, including our patients, feels unwelcome or unsafe because they are Jewish or Muslim or come from Israel or Palestine. Precisely when empathy is difficult to find, we must work harder to embrace the values of inclusivity and belonging. Over the past few years, in fact, geopolitical crises, one after the other, social injustices throughout the country, and a worldwide pandemic have been stressful for us all. To support the wellness of our community, Assistant Vice Chancellor Stephanie Collins and others are working to develop new initiatives and resources. These include offering a new round of grants to address specific needs of faculty, staff, and learners in the wellness space, adding evening and weekend hours for urgent mental health counseling, and hosting wellness webinars and mindfulness courses that are available to our entire community. Planning is also underway to launch COPE 2.0 based on the popular program implemented during the COVID-19 pandemic. The program will take a population-based approach to providing easy access to mental health services and well-being resources using a chatbot-like approach. To increase support for people with disabilities at UCSF, the Office of Communication launched a Faces of Ability campaign in this last year, featuring stories of several members of our UCSF community to highlight the disability resources that are available to them. I'm grateful for the faculty, staff, and learners who are leading the way in this important work, including Chief Accessibility Officer Wendy Tobias. Her office recently launched a new website with useful information and resources that are serving the needs of many at UCSF. In October, I had the pleasure of presenting Chancellor's Diversity Awards to 10 individuals, including 2 members of our community who are leading efforts for people with disabilities. Judy Rosen, Director of Disability and Leave Administration, was honored for her work in disability services. And third-year School of Dentistry student Lara Fu was recognized for leading a team to design and prototype a mobile app to foster access and health equity for patients with disabilities. Let's watch a video to learn more about Lara's work.
I feel UCSF definitely provided me tons of opportunities. I always had a huge passion in innovation. And then once I started becoming a dental student, I was really excited to be able to transform something I have a huge passion into a product and be able to help people that I really care for, which is the people with disabilities. My name is Lara Fu, and I'm a fourth-year dental student at UCSF School of Dentistry. I'm also the co-designer for My Aerial Health. My colleague and I decided to start My Aerial Health in order to revolutionize patient experience. My Aerial app is a mobile application that also combined with a 3D printed intraoral scanner that really help people with disability to better tracking their dental health condition, as well as creating a communication platform between a dentist and the patient. The inspiration of My Aerial Health is stemmed from my cousin Ariel, who has Down syndrome. So growing up with her, I have seen her firsthand struggle that she's experiencing with maintaining oral hygiene. So for me, I really wanted to help more people, just like my cousin, to be able to get their dental access. So I was proposing this idea to my mentor. I got really supported by her. So we had some discussions and meetings. She helped me to really make this features easy to use, and then also the UI interaction that she provide a lot of insightful ideas as well. We got really, inspired even more to push forward our idea and then be able to try pilot study at UCSF and some of the nonprofit organizations to push it further. The disability service always reminds me that there's people in needs, and there's a lot of things that we could potentially do with our education, with our innovations at UCSF, and then being able to use what we learned to help anyone who are just like Ariel.
So supporting all of the ambitious capital projects that I described and expanding programs and initiatives across the campus requires us to remain financially strong and competitive. I'm pleased to report that this past year, UCSF reached a major milestone in our revenues. We have surpassed $10 billion in revenues for the first time in our history, and our balance sheet remains strong for future investments. Key to UCSF's financial strength is the strong performance of UCSF Health and our health system, and the successful track record of our faculty researchers in winning highly competitive grants and awards from federal and other agencies. For the 16th consecutive year, UCSF is the #1 public recipient of funding from the National Institutes of Health. In fact, UCSF set a record for NIH funding to a public university with $823 million awarded across our 4 schools last year. UCSF also benefits greatly from our generous donors who have supported us to achieve much more than we could do alone. I'm grateful to the many donors who have continually shown their confidence in UCSF's ambitious missions. One of our staunchest supporters was Chuck Feeney, the man who Forbes magazine named America's most generous philanthropist. Chuck passed away this last October at the age of 92, having given away his entire $7 billion fortune, mostly anonymously. Chuck was an inspiration to me and many others, not only for his selfless dedication to improving the world, but also for his humility and engaging sense of humor. Without his generous support, Mission Bay, as we know it, would not exist. Chuck's many investments in the Mission Bay campus have vaulted UCSF into the highest echelons of biomedical research and have helped revitalize an entire quadrant of San Francisco. So we are pleased to honor his unprecedented impact at UCSF by renaming Campus Way as the Feeney Way on our Mission Bay campus. So just as generous philanthropists support our work, we in turn support the regional economy and invest in the communities we serve. Our anchor institution mission, the home of our community engagement work, is led by Executive Director Wiley Liu in our Office of Community and Government Relations. For example, UCSF has pledged to achieve a 30% local hire target for the comprehensive Parnassus Heights plan, with 10% labor participation from small businesses and veteran enterprises. Through community partnerships that span workforce development, local procurement, sustainability, and community investments, we are committed to supporting lasting change in our local communities. To help lead UCSF through the next phase of our growth, we've welcomed 2 new leaders to the Chancellor's Cabinet in this last year. I appointed Dr. Catherine Lucy to serve as Executive Vice Chancellor and Provost in January. When I was Dean in the School of Medicine, I recruited Catherine back to UCSF in 2011 to serve as Vice Dean for Medical Education. Catherine has been instrumental in many aspects of UCSF's success since her return, including redesigning the medical school curriculum and co-chairing the Differences Matter initiative to create a culture of inclusivity and equity. I also recently named Dan Bernal, a longtime member of Emerita Speaker Pelosi's staff, as our new Vice Chancellor for Community and Government Relations. For 25 years, Dan has built collaborative relationships in the Bay Area, throughout California, and across the nation, while demonstrating a deep commitment to racial, health, economic, and social justice for all. I also want to recognize 2 cabinet members who are retiring this year. They are Catherine Gillis, a Dean of the UCSF School of Nursing, and Jaime Sepulveda, Executive Director of our Institute for Global Health Sciences. I thank them for their extraordinary leadership. So now let's return to where we started and learn more about how UCSF is integrating the power and potential of AI into science and healthcare. I've invited 3 experts to join me on the stage, and I welcome them up now. I'm delighted to introduce Atul Butte, who is the Priscilla Chan and Mark Zuckerberg Distinguished Professor. He is also Director of the Baker Computational Health Sciences Institute and is the Chief Data Scientist for all of UC Health, the 6 academic health centers in the UC system. Joining me is also Sara Murray, who is Associate Professor of Medicine and Chief Health AI Officer. And finally, Dr. Tanja Kortemme, who is a Professor of Bioengineering and Therapeutic Sciences. So thank you for joining me on the stage, and let's get started. I'm going to ask a few general questions and ask each of you to comment. Maybe Atul, I'll ask you to kick this one off, but how well do you think UCSF is prepared and ready to take advantage of this particular moment in time?
Well, Sam, thanks for having us and having me on the panel in front of this amazing audience. Obviously, I think UCSF is amazingly positioned to take advantage of this new revolution on top of revolutions. Obviously, we're in an amazing time, we're in an amazing place with amazing neighbors in Silicon Valley, but as your video showed, we have amazing talent at UCSF, and we have to always start with that. Now, the Baker Computational Health Sciences Institute, partnering with IT Services, Radiology and Imaging Sciences, the Cancer Center, the Clinical Translational Science Award, have been building the Information Commons, which takes data out of our clinical systems, de-identifies it, and makes it available for research and development safely, responsibly. That is incredibly important because it includes images and clinical text as well, which is the current revolution with large language models. So we use all that for safe and responsible research, but we've also been leading UC Health with our 5 sibling health systems, UCLA, UC San Diego, Irvine, Davis, and Riverside, to pull together a central database of more than 9 million patients treated over the past decade. That all is available for research and development. What this means is it's safely, responsibly, and respectfully using the most inclusive and diverse data set, I believe, in the country to help us build inclusive tools that help us treat the diversity of California and beyond. I think we're incredibly positioned to make a lot of advances over the next few years.
On the health system side, we've put into place a few pieces of key infrastructure that I also think are positioning us very nicely to lead. One of those is our health IT platform for advanced computing. We call it HiPAC. And it allows us to take real-time electronic health record, or EHR data, run any AI model type, and then write those predictions back into our EHR. And so we're actually already using that for a number of use cases in the health system, supporting our command center, where we're getting the right care to the right patient at the right time. And then we've opened up access to that to our research community as well through the Apex-enabled research group. And so we have researchers bringing tools that predict toxicity in oncology patients and implementing those in the health system as well. Then more recently, in June of this year, we put together, our IT leadership worked together to put together an AI tiger team and build infrastructure to support generative AI, which was mentioned. Out of that came a tool called Versa, and there are 2 big components to that. One is Versa Chat, which allows us to actually, it's very ChatGPT-like, but you can use it securely. It's HIPAA compliant with our patient data, so we can really start testing those clinical use cases that we're very excited about. And then there's something called an API version of that as well, which allows our researchers to use it with large data sets and allows us to take those large language models and generative AI tools and bring them into the health system as well. So there's many exciting use cases that we're looking forward to.
What about in the basic sciences, Tanja? How prepared are we?
Yeah, so in the discovery sciences, AI is already an integral part of acceleration and advances across the multiple scales, all the way from the atomic to the molecular, to the cellular and tissue scale, and then ultimately, obviously, with a view to improve human health. And so I can just perhaps give a couple of examples. On the molecular scale, we've heard about AlphaFold 2, an AI model that enabled incredible advances in predicting the structure of proteins from sequence with unprecedented accuracy. So now at UCSF, we are pioneering advances that go beyond AlphaFold, that not only predict the structures of existing proteins, but instead are able to create new proteins completely from scratch. And so now these proteins have multiple applications, for example, as precision tools enabling fundamental biological discovery, but also in the therapeutic space to allow us to enable development of protein drugs that are programmable and much more powerful, more specific, and then can be much more rapidly developed than traditional protein tools and protein drugs. And then as another example, to highlight how AI integrates advances across the multiple scales, it directly accelerates drug discovery by, for example, enabling target discovery by integrating large-scale data sets from the molecular to the cellular to the tissue scales to really enable us to see what the most powerful targets are that we need to address in drug discovery efforts.
Great, thank you. Now I'd like to ask each of you to briefly give me a prediction of what you think we'll see at UCSF in the next 12 to 24 months.
Yeah, maybe I can start here. So UCSF, to my mind, has a number of key ingredients that I think uniquely position us to take advantage of the amazing advances in AI. And so I think the first one is a long-standing history of technology development. So large-scale data, as we heard from Sam, are absolutely essential to drive advances in AI. And we at UCSF have been always at the forefront of developing technologies that generate those data at scale. Secondly, what is important is that these data are not just generated at scale, but they need to be informative in terms of important and key biological problems. And I think we at UCSF have the researchers who have consistently pioneered the most interesting and the most challenging questions in biology that will inform what are the data that we need to generate to make advances. And then thirdly, I think we have a unique culture of collaboration, where collaboration is a value in the sense that the students, the postdocs, the faculty, and staff are coming together from different disciplines to tackle incredibly hard problems and make advances there, where no individual research group could make these advances on their own. And so what I would like to see over the next year or two is to have experts in AI development and application to be embedded in this unique culture of collaboration, exciting key biological questions, and technology development to pioneer advances at UCSF that I think could be unique to what we can do here.
So in the health system, we want to be the leading health system for the use of trustworthy AI at scale to address the most pressing problems in healthcare. So what does that mean practically? Well, trustworthy AI means that we have the processes in place to make sure that our tools are ethical, robust, fair, safe, and we're evaluating that both when we're doing our initial implementations and then longitudinally as we use the tools. And then AI at scale is really important because most of the AI implementations we've seen across the country have been relatively small. We want to be using these tools enterprise-wide. And so a lot of our initial focus is going to be on use cases that have very high impact, but lower risk as we learn to use these tools safely. And so something we're thinking a lot about is this concept that's been coined keyboard liberation, or really getting clinicians away from their computers and back in front of patients where they want to be. And so we have a number of use cases we're looking at right now. We're hoping AI Scribes is deployed widely in the next 12 to 24 months. And in fact, our faculty practice office is leading the first pilot of 100 users with a tool called Ambiance in the coming weeks to start looking at these AI scribing tools. And then we're very excited. We now have access to a suite of tools from Epic that's going to allow us to test many of these generative AI use cases. And so those will be use cases that involve message drafting, chart summarization, a lot of these day-to-day tasks clinicians spend a lot of time with. And so we're really excited about those.
I think it's fair to say UCSF has always been in the business of building tools that don't exist today. I think we saw that in some of the videos, and that's going to be no different for artificial intelligence. We're going to see more predictive models, predictive tools, especially using text and images. Those have been always the hardest to get to with computers and AI. We're going to get a text summarization, understanding perhaps 1,000 or 10,000 patients. Where are we missing care? What should we be delivering more care to in entire populations? Matching with clinical trials in an automated way, that we might be missing opportunities to deliver potential life-saving drugs because we're not thinking that a patient might qualify for a clinical trial. Even understanding our patients better. Why did this patient stop taking this medication? Is it because of a side effect or a socioeconomic challenge that they're facing? All of this might be better understandable through artificial intelligence, looking at our clinical notes. Now, to do all this, we're going to need more infrastructure, so I predict we're going to see more data centers and compute clusters accessible by UCSF, faculty, staff, students, researchers, but also more partnerships with companies that surround us, some of the best talent in the world in computers and data. But I also see us generating more companies too. We've always been in the business that we don't just keep our discoveries within our walls. Part of that is scaling to reach more patients, more families, and we can't scale by just keeping things and facing inward. Part of our business is really to scale to patients everywhere. And I can see us starting new companies as well, like our faculty have great abilities to do.
Great. So the last question, a few minutes just on touching on what we're doing to make sure that our use of AI is responsible, it's ethical, and it meets our values of social justice. Sara, particularly in the health system, this is important, so perhaps you could start.
Sure. So about a year ago, we launched our AI Oversight Committee to guide the health system in the use of trustworthy AI. And so the idea here is that we actually have a unified governance committee for all AI that touches the health system. It doesn't matter if my team builds it in the health system, if we procure it from a vendor, or if a researcher is building it and wants to implement it in the health system. We want to be asking the same questions, ensuring we have performance metrics and fairness metrics, and we're being really thoughtful about the implementation of all of these tools. Our committee has representatives across the campus in the spirit of that unified governance, and so there's health system leaders, ethicists, biostatisticians, health equity experts, and we're all coming together to really build these processes. If you're interested in some of the details, you can actually look on ai.ucsf.edu if you're internal. But I'd say it's still a work in progress. We're working on figuring out how we scale the committee's work to accommodate the growing needs and then expand these ethical frameworks to more challenging tools we're starting to think about, like the generative AI tools.
And maybe I'll answer from the research side. Obviously, there's concern about using data sets that might not have been acquired in a diverse or fair manner. Why I'm so proud of being at UCSF and the University of California is that the diversity of the world comes to California and lives in California and is treated by the University of California. And so the data we have, I think, is going to be, it's not perfect, I admit that, but I think it's going to cover more of the diversity of California and thus the world, perhaps more than our peer institutions in other well-known cities. I think it's our responsibility and duty to use that data to generate these tools now for the future.
And Tanja, I know you've been in conversations at the national level around the ethical use of AI in discovery sciences.
Yeah, so if we say that generative AI can design incredibly powerful and programmable medicines, of course, then the question that we need to think about is, can that be turned around for dual use and make dangerous biological agents? And so while our understanding of biology to be able to do this, even with the most powerful AI tools, is not at the level where we can do this today, I would say today is the time to really think about those aspects. And this is something that cannot be restricted to UCSF. It cannot be restricted to just a national level. It also has to be an effort at the international level. And so there are discussions that UCSF leaders are being part of that bring together industry stakeholders, as well as scientific experts, as well as security experts, and policymakers and security experts, including in the White House Office of Science and Technology, together to really think about and coming together what the defining principles are to make the development as well as dissemination of AI technology responsible.
Great. Well, please join me in thanking our panelists for sharing their thoughts. So in closing, I look forward to 2024 with great excitement as we explore the possibilities of this technology as well as pushing all of our missions forward. In 2024, we will see impressive new buildings rise on our Parnassus Heights and Oakland campus. We will expand our health system to serve more patients. We will watch our learners thrive. We'll proudly celebrate breakthrough research. And we will continue to invest in programs and initiatives that support our most precious resource, that is you, our people. I thank every member of our community for your many contributions over the last year and your commitment to building an environment of mutual respect and belonging. It's early December and the holidays are on us. I wish you, your family, your friends, the opportunity to enjoy each other's company as we look forward to a bright new year. Thank you for being here.